Hi everyone, my name's Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today I'm going to share with you how to create this really cute card. There's a couple of birdies on a high wire, and then a little birdie told me it's your birthday. So we're going to learn how to make this. And the first thing that we're going to do is talk about the stamp sets. The two stamp sets that I'm using are for the birds, and you can see the two that I'll be using. And then on the other one, it is Sketch Birthday, where I'll be using the little party hat and the balloon. And so the first thing that I wanted to tell you about is a new die that Stampin' Up! Has, and it's called Party Pennants. I wanted to use this on a card, so I was actually able to use two of the pennants on my card, the smaller one here, and then this larger one. And so I actually was able to stack up 3 layers of watercolor paper and cut all 3 out at the same time to make a total of 6 tags at once. So I felt that was a pretty efficient use of my time. And here is how we're going to start. We're going to take a piece of Wisteria Wonder paper, and we're going to cut this at 5.5 by 8.5 and score it at 4 1/4. Then we're just going to fold that in half, and we're going to do a little bit of layering on here. I have the Subtles Designer Series paper stack, and one of the pieces that I'll be using is in the Wisteria Wonder, this chevron pattern. I have that at 2.5 by 4 inches, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue that directly onto my card with a little bit of our multi-purpose liquid glue. And I'm going to put it so that the chevrons face down and set that in. And then the next thing is a 1/2 inch by 4 inch piece of Designer Series paper, also from the same paper pack called Subtles Designer Series Paper Stack. And again, I'm going to just add a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue to the back, and I'm going to set it right over the top of that first pattern paper. Just kind of line it up here as best I can. And now we can go ahead and do a little bit of stamping. So I have gone ahead and I've cut out with with the watercolor paper, a couple of the pennants, and I'm going to use StazOn ink. And the first thing I'm going to do is stamp the birds. So I will go ahead and get those stamped on this first pennant. And then the next thing I'm going to do is stamp the balloon. So I'm going to get a little piece of scrap here because the balloon will overhang. And again, I'm inking this up in StazOn black ink. And I'm just going to set that balloon right there, give it a little stamp. And now we can go ahead and color these. And so coloring is actually going to be pretty easy. The first thing that we're going to do is take this is a baked brown sugar marker, and I'm just going to fully color in the wing, add a little color here to the tail, and then just a little bit of color along the top of the bird, as you can see. Bring this up a little bit closer to the camera so you can see exactly how I did that. And then I'm going to take the blender pen, and I'm just going to bring that color down into the rest of the bird. So I'm just using small circular motions just to spread that color around, because we want to keep the rest of the bird kind of light. There we go. Okay, and then I have the pumpkin pie marker, and using the fine tip, I'm just going to gently touch it just to the beaks, just so it's a barely there kind of look, and our coloring on the birds is done. And then the last thing I want to do with this particular panel is using my 1/2 inch circle punch and inserting it so that the top is even with this edge over here. Just going to go in about 1/3 of, not even quite 1/3 of the way, just so that there's a little indentation right here. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Again, bringing the top of the paper even, and just not quite 1/3 of the way in, making a little indentation. And then we're going to wrap some twine around this. I have about 14 inches of our silver baker's twine, and wrap that around twice. And then we can tie that up and cut it off. So here it is. Let's finish that up real quick. And then I'll just trim that off with my ribbon scissors. And very cute. Now we're going to color the balloon, and we are going to use Wisteria Wonder ink, and I've already squished it onto the base of the ink pad, and using our blender pen, we're just going to blend in the darkest color along where the hashtags are in the balloon, and then we can just kind of spread that color out to the rest of the balloon. And I will kind of avoid those dots a little bit because I want to go ahead with another color of marker, the yellow marker, and just accentuate those with a little bit of yellow ink. So you can see how the blender pen is kind of starting to run out of ink at this point, which is good because that gives it a nice light look, and I like that look. There we go, and it'll lighten up even a little bit more as it dries. And then we'll take the Daffodil Delight marker and just marker in these dots on the balloon to add a little bit of interest and color. There we go. And then we're just going to sponge around that balloon. I have some Pool Party, and I've just put it on one of a Stampin' Sponge, and I'm just going to bring that all around to give the illusion that the balloon is floating off into the sky, way up there by the high wires where the birds are. So here we go. Beautiful. And it's done. So now all we need to do is add a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue to the back. I'm going to keep this kind of loose, so I'm just putting the glue at the top of the tag, and I'm going to insert this underneath that silver twine, about this far up, and we'll just leave it like that. I think that's beautiful. Now all we're going to do on the back is add 3 dimensionals, and I have it right here. Again, we want to keep this nice and loose, so I'm not putting dimensionals towards the bottom. I'm going to keep it nice and flowing, and then we're going to line this up so that we have about the same amount of space on the top as we do on the sides. And the front of our card is pretty much done. I do want to add a button, so I have a Subtles button here from our designer button collection, and I just put a glue dot on the back of it and added it to the front of our card. So the front of our card is done. To finish off the inside, we're going to take a piece of Whisper White paper, and I have that cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And then I added a piece of the Subtles Designer Series paper stack in the Wisteria Wonder to kind of match the front of the card. That's cut at 1/2 inch by 4 inches. And then I'm going to take some snail, and we're going to adhere that to the inside panel of our card. Then we have a little party hat right here, and so we're just stamping that right there, and then we'll get our sentiment, "It's your birthday," and stamp that underneath the hat like that. And now to color it, I am going to just take my Daffodil Delight marker, and I'm just going to marker in some color onto this hat. And then with the rest of the color, I'm going to take the Wisteria Wonder ink again. Now I did try doing this with the Wisteria Wonder marker, and it looked too blue to me. It wasn't quite matching the Wisteria Wonder paper, but I found that the ink seemed to do a real good job. So I'm just leaving it at that with the ink, and just going with that instead of with the marker. All right, and our card is complete. Let me get all of this stuff out of the way. Here's our front and our inside, and hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks so much for stopping by Stamping to Share. I truly appreciate you, and if you ever need anything, need supplies for your projects, you can visit my blog where there is a link to place an order. Have a great day. Bye-bye.